ever created, and I think the most successful one. I hope so. I'll be moderating this session. My name is Johnny Dabrowski. I'm a member of the work, and I would like to kindly invite you to join. I would also like to welcome our online speakers and our online guests who've joined for live stream, and all members of the coalition who couldn't make it to COP because of many reasons, because most of them will be joining us today online. So I would like to say a few words about the plan for our session first. It's gonna have two parts. The first part is between 12:30 and 1 p.m. and it's the part of establishing our coalition. After my remarks, we will have a photo op with the members of the coalition on our stage. So I would kindly invite them all to come and hold our memorandum of agreement. Our media team will make photos during that time, which later we will upload to a folder that the coalition members already have. And in this folder you can already find the post that you can share on the social media during our social media moment. Because at 1 p.m. we're going to have a social media moment. I would ask each one of you to post on your Twitter or Facebook some posts about this event. If you want to use something which is already written, you can use our post and our tweet on earthday.org social media, or you can just make your own, copying our text or copying it from the folder. Okay, after that we will have remarks from the European Commission and also from Ariadne, our activist. And after that we will move to the panel, and I would very much like for all of you to engage in the panel, because the questions would be both for the people here on the audience, but also there will be many questions to you here, because we would like to make it as much as engaging as we can. Also, there will be questions both to audience here and to the guests online, so that we have a balance between that. So, we're all here, youth activists, which are forming Climate Education Coalition, but I see a lot of NGOs here, also many adults from all continents, from Europe, from Africa, from Asia, from South America, from North America, Australia, Oceania. And I think that we're all asking ourselves one question: what we are doing at the COP. What we are doing here in this middle of nowhere on the desert. And we're all attending negotiations where governments pretend they're doing something. And what brought us here? That's a question I ask myself all the time. And there is no good answer for that. Each one of us has something different. For me, it's my parents who inspired me to respect nature. It's the books I have read by Al Gore, by scientists, by activists. It's the movies I have watched by David Attenborough. And then I have joined Fridays for Future movement. And a few years later, I have joined Earth Day, which is boosting my climate action. Each one of us has a different story. That's my story. But I think that we all have something in common. And I'm here because I was educated about climate change in some form. And so were you. And so was everybody who is at the COP, who is at this pavilion, who is at this conference. Maybe beside the 500 delegates from the fossil fuel industry, okay? We can take it out. So, if it wasn't for the news, if it wasn't for the books, if it wasn't for the movies, for the scientific facts, for inspiring people, if it wasn't for education, we would never be here. We would never be here. We would never be doing what we are doing, we would never be fighting what we're fighting for, and I bet we wouldn't be who we are. Education is the most powerful weapon you can choose to change the world. Those are the words of President Nelson Mandela, a person who changed his country and the world not by anger, but by wisdom. I think education is power. What matters is the purpose you use it for, and I hope we can use it in the best purpose we can imagine, which is saving our world. So, do we want to produce all world's energy based on renewables by 2050? Do we want to save our biodiversity and social diversity? Do we want to save our planet? Of course we want. Of course we want. That's why we are here. But for that, we need engineers. We need scientists. We need politicians who are aware of the challenges which are standing before them. We need people who are aware of how to solve climate change. And that's why I very deeply believe that climate education is one of the most important solutions towards solving climate change. It's where every innovation starts. It starts with education. It's the moment when you hear something or you learn about something and then you get inspired to act. This is all because of education. And we should never underestimate its role. We should boost it, and this is why Climate Education Coalition was created. We need climate education at schools. We need climate education at universities. We need to teach adults about climate. We need to make it mandatory. Climate crisis cannot be the only crisis we don't learn at schools. We learn about crisis of politics, of war, of religion. That is important. That is very essential. But we are the generation and the generations that will come after us which will have to solve climate change, which will have to reverse it. And we won't do it without climate education, without adequate preparation for that challenge. And that is why youth organizations and individuals from all around the world had gathered to create Climate Education Coalition. They have joined forces to support each other, to inspire each other, to teach each other and others, to collaboratively work towards a momentum for climate education, for a day of action, for Earth Day for Climate Education 2023, and for all actions we can take towards climate education together, to establish climate education at schools in our countries, and also to teach people about climate change. And it is my big pleasure to introduce to you members of our coalition and also to show you the main points of our Memorandum of Agreement. Our coalition is built, is created today based on a document so that we can really work effectively. Not that yet. You also have problem with Wi-Fi here? Okay, we got it. Okay. So let me read to you the objectives of our coalition. I won't bore you with full agreement, you can read it online. So the objectives of our coalition are the following: to strengthen the collaborative actions conducted by the global youth and other stakeholders in order to establish compulsory climate education in schools worldwide, by supporting each other, planning strategy together, and jointly coordinating campaigns that will aim at building awareness about climate change in the people, to jointly promote the importance of climate education to the members of civil society, state politicians, UN officials, entrepreneurs, and the press worldwide, and in particular countries, respectively. Along with putting emphasis on climate education impacts on green jobs, facilitating civic engagement, fostering green technologies and policies, youth empowerment, developing countries, and in regards to indigenous knowledge, climate justice, and equality. The third is to plan and coordinate Earth Day for Climate Education on Earth Day, April 22nd, 2023, that aims at establishing reliable and universally accessible climate education for introducing climate education to the school's curricula, educational institutions and organizations, and communities worldwide, regionally and in particular countries, respectively. Meeting with policymakers, spreading education resources, organizing workshops, using lawful demonstrations, making social media campaigns, and collaborating with stakeholders as tools, building up this Earth Day for climate education. This is the rest of our memorandum, and these are the dozens of organizations and individuals that are creating our Climate Education Coalition. I would like to kindly invite all members of the coalition who are here with us today to come up on the stage. Cheer up. Okay, to the front. Okay. And now we'll have a countdown to establishing Climate Education Coalition. Hope it works. Okay, 10. Fuck. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Climate Education Coalition. Woo! Okay, look at Amy. That's the most important picture today. Ariadne or EU? EU or ya? Okay, now I would like to ask to move to our Zoom speakers, and I would like to introduce the European Union Research Center for Climate Education representative to give remarks on the importance of climate education and European Union achievements towards green curricula. Please welcome Valeria Napoli. We can't hear you. Okay, so maybe EU can get organized themselves, and we welcome on the stage Ariadne to give her remarks about the importance of climate education. Ariadne, the stage is yours.
Hello, everyone. So thank you so much for this opportunity, and congratulations, everyone on the coalition. My name is Ariadne Papatheodorou. I am a climate activist from Greece, and I also work in education. I started working with refugees when I was really, really young. I was around 11 years old, and we were doing education for them on different languages, right? They wanted to go to Germany, they wanted to go to so many different countries, and they needed the basis for that. Most of them didn't even speak English or have any knowledge of any other language than their native ones. So it was really hard, but it was really important for us to kind of give them that perspective and give them the ability to create a better life, because a lot of them had to flee their countries due to wars, and even now we see a big movement, a big wave of climate refugees coming. The United Nations have said that till 2050, we could have up to 1.1 billion climate refugees. And that's something our continents are not able to, we don't have the infrastructures for that, we don't have the space for that, and what do we need to do? We need to adapt to that before that happens. So we need to educate on the climate crisis, we need to act on it, and to act on it, we need to be educated, as Johnny said. So it's really important to also educate the minorities and the groups that don't have access to it easily, they can't just go to school and get this education. So that's where we come in. We need to work for that. We need to work for them and with them to create that space. Also really important is on the gender issue. We work with women in third world countries and educate them on period poverty. So we talk about menstrual and sexual education, which is so, so important, because women are often a lot more affected than men in any crisis. And so we need to ensure, when we talk about a just transition, that we have women, especially from third world countries and especially from minorities, with us and educated. So I'm really glad that this coalition happened and that we can continue working on climate education, everyone in their own areas and in their own capacities and in their own countries. So I would just say and wish that we keep educating our fellow people and we keep advocating for them in so many ways. But education is the start, and it's alpha and omega, as Greek people would say. So thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much, Ariadne. I would also would like to ask our guests on Zoom to also show their cameras so we can see them, because that is very important for our event, that we can see each other. And now I would like to ask European Union representative to give her remarks or his remarks on climate education. And please unmute yourself before you start your remarks. Do we have some problems with the EU? Some issues? Excuses for this. Are we still trying to reach them? Okay, so we'll wait 1 more minute. In that time, please, because we're preparing for the next moment, after the remarks, please make sure you know the accounts and the tags of your Minister of Education from your country. UNFCCC and UN Secretary General. That would be very much appreciated that you know them. You know their account on Facebook and Twitter of your Minister of Education, and if you also want your Prime Minister or your President, the head of state. That would be very much appreciated because we will move to a momentum where we post, when we all post on the social media, okay? Are we still waiting for the EU?
Hi. Hi everyone, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, sorry again. It was something wrong with the settings. So, hi everyone, my name is Valeria Napoli and I recently joined the European Commission. So, as you may know, the education policy area is mainly a national policy area, but the EU still have the possibility to suggest and recommend. And within these important conversations and within the climate education, we have two main documents that are really important, which are the Council recommendation published in June 2022, and the Green Comp, which is a framework for that recommends the most important skills that are important for sustainability and to build futures that are more sustainable. So within these regards, we have a lot of policies that have been developed and a lot of initiatives. Among this, we have not just what I'm currently working on, which is the Education for Climate Coalition, which is a platform that you can see on my background, but we also see other initiatives like the ambassadors and the pact, the climate pact. So all these policies are really important because, as you mentioned before, youth empowerment and in climate education is extremely important. So one example, going back to what I'm working on, is that the coalition for the Education for Climate Coalition, not what you just launched, is important because it creates is based on community of practices. So we work together with our members and we create challenges, events together with them. We co-design them with them, and we are also the main idea is not just to have it to have the members with our students, teachers, and other education stakeholders to watch what the EU is doing, but to actually participate in what we are doing, to co-design with us the most efficient policies, curricular that they would like to have in place in their national frameworks. So within these initiatives, for example, we are now currently trying to create a youth experiment, which is we try to create dialogues among youth people, like young people, on specific topics in a new format. So if you would like to have more, and of course, if you want to co-design this with us, just join the community, and I will also send you the link to that. So we can work all together to have a youth space where the young people are involved in what we're doing. And because the coalition is like, the core idea is to give the possibility to all the members, including the students, including the young people, to engage in co-creating processes. And we believe that young people have the possibility to create and build our sustainable futures. But to do that, as you mentioned, we need, because I'm also young, we need knowledge and skills to be developed. And this is where climate education comes in. So thank you so much. And sorry for all the technical issues that we had, but thank you so much for having me here. And
Thank you very much. Thank you. And of course, we're looking forward with working with the European Union on climate education as Climate Education Coalition. Now I would like to invite you for the social media moment where we can all make a post or a tweet about our event, about the importance of climate education for us. Before that, till I don't forget, in the end of our event, we'll make one more photo, one more family photo with all people on Zoom as well, so that we're all here in one place. And one more thing, you'll be able to also write your wish for climate education, or why do you think it's important, on the wall up front the sofa next to Aiden. Exactly. But now let's move to the social media moment. So let's back to the slide, please. Do you already know the tag and accounts of your Minister of Education or Secretary of Education? You know them personally, many of you. I know that. So please, you can scan those QR codes. They lead you to Twitter and Facebook of earthday.org. And when you go there, the first post when you scroll down or tweet is the family photo we've just taken from the Climate Education Coalition event. And there is a post, there is a text, which I think we all believe in as well. And you have 5 minutes for that. Okay? For the members of the coalition, you can open the folder, which is in the calendar invite, which is also on our group on WhatsApp. So if you could resend it, so it's the first message. And in this folder you can find the photo as well as the text you can use. Please remember to tag your Minister of Education, UNFCCC, UN Secretary General, and whoever you think is relevant to this cause.
How are you? Hello.
Okay, we'll be starting in 30 seconds. Okay? Or 1 minute when we bring all the stuff. Run of show. So I would like to welcome our speakers. Now we will start a panel on climate change education. I would like to welcome Emmanuel Porag from MOCCOP. I would like to welcome Aziz Bar Hussein from World Organization of the Scout Movement. He is the representative. I would like to welcome one and only Temilade Salami from Eco Champions. Please. I would like to welcome Openiemi from Care About Climate. Well. And I would like to welcome Big Wind Carpenter from Sustain United States. Here you are. So, my first question to all of you would be, and you have 3 minutes to answer that question. First of all, what are the achievements of your organizations, of yourselves, for climate education so far? What have you achieved? What are you planning for climate education? And what is your experience in this subject that is uniting all of us? And we will go from right to left accordingly.
Hello. I come from a community in the United States. It's a state called Wyoming, and that place, they call it the energy capital of the world because we produce more fossil fuels per capita than anywhere else in the globe. And when you have an economy like that that relies on fossil fuels, that relies on taxes of fossil fuels, the education system is funded by fossil fuels. And when the education system is funded by fossil fuels, we know that there's things that we're not going to be learning. I'm up here today because I didn't receive climate education growing up. I had to venture out and seek those things for myself. I had to go to higher education to find those things. And so I envision that people from my community will be able to access those things. In 2019, we planned the state's first climate summit in the state of Wyoming on the Wind River Reservation. And so it shows that indigenous people are integral and are leading the forefront for climate education in my community. This year, we had the very first statewide climate summit, and it came with fierce opposition from the fossil fuel industry. But we were able to pull it off. So I want to be able to see things like that grow in the future. And I want to be able to continue learning from people like you all and continuing to ensure that youth are at the forefront of this situation. When we talk about climate education or education as a human right, and knowing that the Declaration for Climate Education was signed last year, it is imperative that we have education, because when people are educated on the subject, then we can find those solutions. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Timilade Salami from Nigeria, and I run an organization called Eco Champions. We've been around for about 5 to 6 years now, and I started while I was in school studying marine biology. And just like you said, I learned this thing in school, and I decided that, we needed to bring more young people on the climate education train. So my organization have different programs that we run. There are 3 major programs that focuses on climate education. First is the Climate Education Leaders Fellowship. So it's a program that combines mentorship, expertise, and knowledge to raise the now and next generation of climate education leaders across Africa. And recently, we've worked with over 70 young people across 26 African countries. And what we do is to bring people on board, people like Johnny, people like Temi, and people like you working in education, to train them for 8 weeks so that they can go back into their communities to teach climate education. And our second program that has been on for about 5 years now is the Eco Kids Club. And what we do is to adopt a school per period of time and teach them about climate education, but most importantly in a contextualized manner, in a way that they understand that this is Africa and these are the solutions tailored to Africa. So we use curriculum that we developed within our organization to teach these schools and adopt them for a period of time, and also teach them based on solutions. So it's one thing to teach about climate change education in a way that makes them panic, but it's another thing to teach them in a way that makes them feel like solution providers. So we focus on that. And the last part, one of the things that we also work on is shifting narratives, because most times when we talk about climate change in Africa, young people or even children are always seen as victims. But there's another side of the coin, which is, we are leaders. We are building something to also create solutions for the climate crisis. So it's very important that we're not just telling one side of the story, which is young people in Africa are bearing the brunt of climate change. But yes, we're also leaders who are leading, with solutions and innovations. So far, we've worked with over 3,000 children in different schools in Nigeria and in Africa. And so that's our reach so far. Thank you so much.
Hello everyone, I am Kazi from Bangladesh, and you might be recognizing this scarf as Scouts wear this scarf. So I am representing World Scout Organization in COP27, and I will be talking about a little bit about the badges we have designed in our Scout movement for the young people, so that they can implement climate action at their communities. Like, we have a bigger umbrella of activities. We call it Better World Framework. And under the Better World Framework, we have a badge what is called Art Tribe. And that is a combination of 3 badges. Like, young people from the age of 7 to up to 25, they get to learn about nature, biodiversity, the necessity of the renewable energies, and also the pollution caused by the plastics. So these are the topics are covered by our Art Tribe program, and the name of the badges are very nice, like Champions for Nature, Plastic Tide Turners, and Scouts Go Solar. So actually these programs are making young people in our movement aware of the problems that are being caused by climate change, and it teaches them to cooperate among themselves, identify what problem their community is facing, and take action collectively, because without collective action, nothing can be achieved. And that's the course we are here today in the Climate Education Coalition. And this is it. And around, we have 172 member organizations around the world who are connected with the World Scouts. And out of those organizations, 103 is currently implementing this program of Art Tribe. And yeah, that's it from my side for now. And we have, since 2015, we have contributed 2.7 billion service hours. Like when we are taking actions, there is a website in Scouts. We record what we are doing, and we have collectively contributed 2.7 billion service hours since 2015 to take action on climate change, also the other areas, because climate change is not one single topic, it is a cost-cutting topic, so there are also other areas involved with this. So these are the things we are doing in the scouting. Thank you for having me.
Hello everyone, my name is Amanullah Parag. I'm from Mockop, and at Mockop we believe climate education should be at every level, from the grassroots to the policy implementation. With that view, we organized the first ever Education Ministers Summit in last COP, in COP26. And other than that, we have a ton of education-based programs. For example, we have this campaign called Teach the Teachers, where we put young people on the educator's seat and they educate their teachers. Because we believe climate education shouldn't be only for young people. So last year we ran Teach the Teachers in around 45 countries, and we were able to educate more than 2,000 teachers globally. Other than that, we have another program called Teach the Parents, where young people are educating their parents on climate change, because we believe our parents are quite not educated with climate education and they really need this education. And what better way to give them that education from their children. Other than that, we have another very interesting program called 1.5 Degrees. In 1.5 Degrees, we are ranking the top 30 universities around the globe according to their sustainability. We are checking out their courses and what they teach and how sustainable these courses are and other stuff. Another very interesting thing we did at the last COP was we did a Teach the Teachers in that Education Ministers Summit. So we technically educated the education ministers of the globe. And currently we are running Teach the Teachers and Teach the Parents globally. We are scheduled to reach 1,000 parents in 2023 for Teach the Parents, and we are scheduled to reach 20,000 teachers around the globe in 100 countries for Teach the Teachers. And we have some other great projects as well that we can talk along the conversation, but that's all from my side now. Thank you.
So you have really incredible achievements, but for sure it wasn't easy to get here where you are, where we are. And I would like to ask all of you a question. What were the struggles, the boundaries, the limits you had to oppose on this way towards achieving what you have done for climate education in your countries, in your cities, in your regions, on your continents? And were there any politicians, or was there any situation where politicians were not really helpful in getting to the point where you wanted to get to? And if you have resolved this, and if you achieved it, how did you do it? And this question, I will start with the audience, both virtually and our audience here. I will pick up one person from the audience and one person from our virtual audience. Just before, I would like to ask two more questions. Can we put the Zoom people on the screens? Text team. Okay, thank you. Hi everybody, please show yourselves so we can all see you and you can see us. And I will give you the mic. Just one more thing, please, let's be louder than the Malaysian pavilion, okay? Because they're just too loud, okay? Let's show them who is ruling this street. Okay.
Thank you. Hello. Am I audible? So hello everyone. I am Zainab. I'm a 19-year-old from Delhi, India. So my passion for environment started really young. Ever since I was 13-year-old, I used to participate in various plantation drives and campaigns. But I felt that I lacked knowledge and guidance towards what this issue exactly is. So when I was 16-year-old, I began studying for this exam known as Lead Green Associate Exam. Basically, it is a sustainability credential which educates us about sustainability and how essential it is and how we can practically implement it in our lives. And I became one of the youngest person in India to qualify this exam. And after qualifying that exam, we were working on an architectural project known as Space Era on sustainable architecture. And I realized that not many people take up these exams. The Lead Green Associate Exam, Sustainability Excellence Associate Exam, these are basically sustainability credentials that are valid globally. But not many people take up this exam. So I began this search asking more and more youth professionals and more architects why they're not taking up this exam. And we came to this conclusion that there is a financial constraint. It's really expensive for people like me, people from the developing countries, youth from the developing countries to actually pursue these sustainability credentials because of the financial constraint. And hence, currently we are working on this project, Space Era Sustainability Scholarship, in which we are trying to gather more finance in order to provide scholarships to underprivileged youth in the developing countries to pursue sustainability credentials that are valid globally in order to have more sustainability professionals in the workforce. Thank you.
Is there anybody from our online audience who would like to? Oh, Jennifer, go for it.
Hi, thank you guys. I'm coming to you from Glasgow. So before I actually respond, anyone that was here last year for COP26, we miss you. But no, I would say that the struggles perhaps that we have faced, and actually one that I have experienced, you were asking about politicians. I've actually only really experienced positive support by working with local politicians here in Scotland. And I know that my co-founder with Trees for Birthday, Shameen, like we have been working closely as well with the embassies in Tanzania. So I think when we go in with a kind of positive and proactive and constructive collaborative approach with kind of politicians and the local authorities, for example, that we can make a lot of progress. I would say that the two key obstacles that really kind of face, like building upon what we said with finance, like that financial support, I think anything that we talk about, we're going to hear, you know, it would be nice to have more money. It would be nice to have some money to support us. But obstacles, I would say, I'm not sure, I can't speak for curriculums outside of the UK, but the teachers that we want to work with and are trying to work with, they have such a rigid curriculum. There isn't the space and the flexibility within the curriculum. The teachers are already overloaded, like work-wise. And so a lot of the work that we're doing in the background is actually to support making it feasible for teachers to even deliver the material that we can provide. And the other thing that I come across quite a lot as a barrier, as an obstacle or a challenge to overcome, let's say, is especially when looking for funding and having to tick boxes for funding, so often the focus is on the quantity of people that we reach as opposed to the quality of what we deliver. And I wonder that hopefully working together with the Climate Education Coalition, you know, we're all, from the sounds of the panel, we're all delivering amazing projects at grassroots level, and somehow being able to work together to align some of what we do, but also call out this fact that just because we work with a fewer number of schools or individuals in the education, like what we can deliver to fewer people is so much more powerful and personal and meaningful than, you know, if we can reach 1,000 schools. So that's maybe just something to think on as we build and grow this coalition. But thank you for having us here today. And hello from Scotland.
Thank you very much, Jennifer. Actually, I had a pleasure to meet with Scottish Minister of Education on COP26 last year. She's a really open person for climate education. Actually, Scotland really has climate education in their curricula, not the UK. Scotland has. That's a quite important difference in case of curricula, maybe also other issues, I don't know. Well, thank you very much, and we will actually move to our next question, which is about our coalition. What would you expect from the Climate Education Coalition, personally, or for your organizations? What do you think should be our goals, not only towards Earth Day for climate education, but in general? What would you like to change with Climate Education Coalition? And we will start from the left this time. We will start with our speakers, and then we will move to the audience, both here and online, because I think that is a subject to many of us here as members of the Climate Education Coalition.
Thank you, Johnny. As I said, we at MOCCOP believe climate education shouldn't be stuck in schools or books or universities. Climate education shouldn't be a formal thing. Everyone should have access to climate education, and everyone should have equal access to it. I'd like to mention about a small problem, not a small problem, a big problem about our education system nowadays, which is whenever we talk about education or climate education, we directly relate the word to young people. Everyone thinks climate education should be for young people only. But no, climate education should be for everyone, and everyone should be under this thought that they are also in need of climate education. We at MOCCOP, we are doing that. We are providing climate education for everyone and for people of every age, and that's what we expect from this coalition. We expect that this coalition will be such a ground where every people can come, every people can get that education, and every people would be able to pass this knowledge and this education to their next of kin or to other people. We expect that this coalition will reach the unheard and to the very grassroots and to the very marginalized communities. For example, to the communities of Bangladesh. Bangladesh is a very climate vulnerable country, and we really want that this coalition should be able to reach the very grassroots. There are several coastal areas in my country, in other global south countries, which don't have enough access to regular education, let alone climate education. But they are the ones most vulnerable, and we really want and really expect that this coalition will be able to serve them as well. We are 200 organizations here, and we all have different networks and huge networks, huge groups of people working together. So we are really helpful from MOCCOP that this coalition will be able to fulfill this expectation of reaching the grassroots and reaching the marginalized. So that's my and MOCCOP's expectation from MOCCOP. Climate Education Coalition, thank you.
From our organizational perspective, what can I say is that we work with the non-formal education system. So we can reach people who are not inside any formal educational setup. It is important, as my colleague said, that it is important to reach those people who are not any formal educational setup so that they also get the climate literacy that is needed for them. Also, their climate literacy will eventually impact the overall climate literacy. So we are all here in the COP because we believe in the collective action. Like we who signed the coalition, so all are like-minded organizations working on the same topic, climate education, environmental education. And for this collective action, I think we joined this coalition because without collective action, we will not be able to achieve our goals individually. So I believe that in coming days, this coalition will hold several activities and events that will ensure the climate education equity over the world. And I hope a very prosperous future for this climate education coalition, because without collective action, we cannot move forward with the cause of climate education. Thank you.
I think I expect three things from this coalition. The first one will be knowledge sharing, because I know we're about more than 100 organizations in this coalition as I speak. and that has ability to scale. And one thing that I really like about the climate movement is that everyone is doing something different, but something unites us. And I want to see that also play out with the Climate Education Coalition. You might be working on informal education, I might be working on formal education, but still we know that we're working on climate education. So we need that collective action and also knowledge sharing. And the second one I'll talk about is we need to partner with relevant agencies. And in this sense, I mean that most times as youth or young people who run organizations, we like to work, in silos, or we like to say, we can do this. I can reach 2,000 students with my organization, but I can only imagine what can happen when the Minister of Education in my country says, now there is climate education in our curricula. That means it gets to reach all the schools in Nigeria. So we must bear in mind that this coalition is not just to gather young people, but to work with relevant agencies, our ministers and different ministries in our countries to push for climate education, both formally and informally. And the last thing I would also like to talk about is that, when it comes to global movements, sometimes we lack one thing, which is localized context. So what works in Nigeria is not what works in Bangladesh. What works in Bangladesh is not what works in Sweden. So it's very important that even if you're a global movement, we need localized solutions that fit into the realities of different nations, and that is very important. And I think one major thing I also want to see as a result is that we need to begin to share resources so that other people who are not even part of the coalition can probably go on a website to download things that they can use to, educate other people in their countries. So thank you so much, and very happy to be part of this. Thank you.
Yeah, I think when people think of climate education, it's oftentimes kind of clouded around Western climate science. And we're losing a lot when we just focus on Western climate science. As an indigenous person, we have traditional ecological knowledge, and as you were talking about, a lot of our solutions are local based. And so when we're talking about our local communities, one thing will work in another and one thing won't. But one thing can be said about when we're talking about the biodiversity of the world, while making up less than 5% of the population, indigenous people are protecting 80% of the world's biodiversity. And I don't think that that's a coincidence. It's because of that relationship that we have with the land. It's because of those technologies. And so ensuring that indigenous ways of knowing are seen as equal value to Western climate science is imperative. And I think that as a coalition, we need to be supporting ideas like that. We need to be able to share that context, and that's what's going to allow us to be able to grow and be able to, yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. I have a question to our online audience. Is there anybody who, oh, there is. First person, please welcome Irene Tuonjiroe.
Thank you very much. My name is Tuonjiroe Irene. I'm from Uganda. I'm the co-founder of Women for Green Economy Movement Uganda. And my organization, what we basically do is to go in schools, and we empower students. We empower both primary, secondary, and university students on how we can fight for climate justice. As you know, in Africa, we are basically facing the climate change boom, not only in Uganda, but also other African countries. And we have found out that the most affected people are vulnerable women, and especially in the communities where oil project, in Uganda, we are running a project of East African crude oil pipeline. And so you find that where that eco project is passing through, the students in those districts are suffering the consequences of climate impacts. And you find they even don't know what climate change is. So what we do is that we go to grassroots communities and we go to schools, different levels. We teach them, we empower them on how they can fight for climate justice and how they can really make sure that they come on board to know what is happening in our country as young people, as young women. And maybe it is my first time to attend this meeting or to know about this coalition. And I will be very great, and if I can join, if my organization can join, so that we can partner with you and we see how best we can run the climate change education to different perspectives, not only in Uganda, but to different countries. I'll be glad if I get ways how I can connect with some of you and we run this project together. Thank you.
Our audience who would like to answer the question, or from our speakers? Yes, please. Be loud.
Hi everyone, I am Hazel, I'm from Guatemala, and I've been an environmental educator for 3 years, and I've seen that one of the biggest challenges we have in Latin America, and maybe you guys have it as well, is that environmental education is not really taken seriously. I've faced so many times to be used as a token, or just like oh, let's make a really nice social project with private organizations or even the government, just use environmental education to make themselves seen as they're good. So I think it's about time to be taken serious as environmental educators. And I think the coalition is going to be the best way we can do it, because we're going to have support from all of you worldwide. So I don't feel like I'm alone. I'm not just one girl in my country that's trying to give classes to children. I am part of a worldwide solution where I can use the support to take local changes. And this means using policy advocacy. I can say, I'm part of this coalition that is supporting me, and I want policy changes in my country. So I think that's going to be something that I'm really excited and really expect solutions through this coalition. Gracias.
Okay, I'm called Vincent and I'm from Uganda. I'm not going to take much time, but I want to emphasize really what she talked about, context of climate change information that's missing mostly across our developing countries that really have not yet developed a lot of data, no research really about climate change, and whatever we have is like he put it, like it's science based on mostly Western context. So it's very important that we get that context information, because when you are presenting this data about climate change, the effects, and the context is not really personal and contextualized, people feel like it's something foreign and they give it. But we want, when we are teaching and educating people, to have that context whereby they feel like it's at their home, you know, and then they can feel like this is real and it's at our background. So I've been in teaching, and I liked that aspect also of the approach to education shouldn't be about creating panic and threat, and then we hope that justice, one way or the other, some politician is somewhere will sacrifice his ambitions for his political office and make decisions that will remake our future good. So as we are really pushing for politicians to act, I liked her approach of seeking innovative solutions, practical, local innovative solutions that address those things we've already put across. So the approach that we do, I formed an organization called the Micra Life, and I resonated so much well with her approach, because we really bring education to individuals and startups, and then we use design thinking methodology to ask, okay, we've seen what's happening in our community, so what can we do about it? So young people start SDGs-oriented, sustainability-oriented initiatives that we later put across and start promoting as real businesses with real business models. Maybe in the future, like our team leader had talked about, we would need also to look at funding. So this coalition could help us organize for support for these green businesses. In most cases, when you are going sustainable, it's hard because your business models are pro-people, pro-environment. They may not make the big profit that investors and the VCs really are looking for in businesses, and it's nice to have that special kind of approach to funding sustainable or sustainability-oriented businesses. So that I would also expect it from this coalition. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Do we have any speakers in the audience that would like to give their remarks, what they expect from a Climate Education Coalition? Please raise your hand if you do. Deborah, the stage is yours.
I am so glad to be here, even if it's the middle of the night for me. This is so great to see the youth coming together. I put into the chat a toolkit on how to be a change maker. I love the idea that we're going to focus on not just climate education, but also solutions and how to be change makers. And I just really want to shout out, teach the parents and teach the teachers and all the informal. So I'm part of a group of 100 student groups across the United States who've been working on this and pushing. And you can see, you know, we're making some progress, but we need to make much more. But also every other Tuesday morning, we meet on the phone with people from around the world, well, on the Zoom, and we love to hear about you. So we're contributing everything that we've been doing to this coalition to help strengthen it. We look forward to hearing more from all of you on a regular basis and sharing knowledge items and strategies and lifting each other's voices, being more effective so that we can get to the sustainable future that we all deserve. And thank you so much for organizing this, Johnny. Just so excited to be a part of it. Thanks. Oh, one more thing. We've got a lot of information on jobs, you know, jobs and a just clean energy transition. And so we're going to be bringing those resources in, jobs around the world. There's a new platform where people can find jobs in the solar industry from around the world. I'll put that in the chat. So great things going on, and I'm glad to share and to amplify the voices of everyone.
Thank you very much, Deborah. Is there anyone else who would like to answer this question? Mary. Mary helped us a lot during preparing for this event. Here you go.
Thank you. Yeah, my name is Maria, and I'm from Eco House, an organization that's based in Argentina, South America, and we work on action for sustainability. Action, like this kind of action, especially through education. And we wanted just to share an experience in Argentina. We wanted to create an environmental education law to do this, like to get climate education and environmental education, education for sustainability in every single school and every single university of the country. And for that, it took us 5 years, because we presented the project, the law project, to policymakers, and they said, oh yeah, that's great, the same thing that Hazel was saying. That's great, education. But then, when the moment came, no one wanted to talk about education, because it's a long term. And policymakers usually are very focused on getting votes for the next elections. And so education is, it's not going to give them quick results. Yeah, and so we had to create a communication campaign, and the main key to get and finally achieve our goal to have a law, an environmental education law, was working together. Get together all the education and environmental education organizations from our country and push together. So if we want that education and climate education has a bigger place at COP next year and the following years, and hopefully every year a bit more, we need to work together. And so that's why we're so happy that this is finally happening. We created also an organization, a forum for Spanish-speaking organization that work in education, because we need to get together also in our regions. We have different needs, and we have different solutions, different tools, different realities. And climate change impacts us very differently. So it's also very important to think globally, but act locally. And so we're so happy that this is happening and to be part of it, and you can count on us to get this stronger every day. Thank you very much.
Is there anybody else from our audience who would like to give remarks? Sol Moran, please go. Oh, you can take this one.
Okay. I did just want to say, I believe as part of the Climate Education Coalition, especially being here at COP27 at the moment, and COP26 last year, as a matter of fact, we did a press conference there. We still have many days to go this year, and even COP28 to work together towards. And one of the things I believe should be in our focus is to get mandatory implementation of climate education by as many ministries of education from the United Nations countries to do top-down system change. Education, as powerful as it is for all the ages, is something that can have not only long-term, as she was saying, influence, it's actually immediate. Because once you know, you can't unknow. And so moving forward, I think it's not only together internationally, like we have here, it's intergenerationally, and it is something that we have to respect, and that's why I think it's amazing that we have Indigenous representation who have never forgotten where we've come from, and we can learn so much from. And this coalition is really bringing us together in a super powerful way, and it's only up from here, so thank you, and yeah, together. Thanks.
I would like to ask one last person. Maybe I will ask our audience, if there is our virtual guests, if there is any one of you who would still like to answer this question. How do you see your participation in Climate Education Coalition? I saw Fridays for Future Lebanon as a first hand, so please go, Fridays for Future Lebanon.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Andres Sucar, and well, I have been active with the Climate Education Coalition since last year. We helped draft a policy for this, which was endorsed by the UNFCCC. And this year, actually, I engaged in the UNFCCC's call for input on Article 6.4 of the Paris Agreement on mechanisms for increasing ambition in order to achieve 1.5. And I think it's really crucial that we push together for the UNFCCC to consider this seriously, that we need adaptation funds to go into our schools and universities, specifically mentioning that they are to be managed by students collectively for such kind of projects that are related to adaptation and mitigation. And yes, not to corrupt governments and companies that are huge and totally misusing these funds. So the youth really represents, as my peers are saying, not only a future, but the present. We can actually bring us out of this crisis if only we had the tools in our hands. And we would like to ask the support, the platform, for us to be able to do this all together with the advisory from the UNFCCC. Thank you.
I would like to thank very much all our speakers. all those who had a chance to answer our question. Of course, we will continue our conversation, how to plan our coalition, what goals should we take forward as the first ones. Maybe we can even do it tomorrow, just meet at the pavilion and start real work. So that we can bring climate education to schools, we can bring climate education to communities, we can bring it on the top of the agenda of COP28. Actually, it's not even so hard to meet with a negotiator from your country, ask them to put climate education into the negotiating points for COP28, to ask this for the presidency of COP28. Here at the COP27 we have all negotiators from all countries, and you can just reach them in the hallway. So please do it. That will be a very, very powerful thing to do, and will really get us forward to COP28 and to our Earth Day for Climate Education. I would like to thank very much all members of our coalition who have joined our coalition today. I would like to make applause for our coalition once again. Before we go, I would like to very much thank people who organized this event together with me. Primarily, I would like to thank our Earth Day team, our president, Kathleen Rogers, and our incredible team, Matt, Aiden, Evan, Tom, Max, Matt, Jess, Susan, Karuna, and all earthday.org staff. Thank you all very much for that. Without you, we wouldn't have this wooden house here, and I would never stand here on this stage. So thank you very much for that. And I would like to thank the members of the coalition who already, even before establishing coalition, were engaged in the works and preparation for our event. I would like to especially thank Mary from Eco House and all Eco House organization for supporting us. I would like to thank Mohab, I would like to thank Dafa, I would like to thank Michael, I would like to thank Hazel. You really made this even happen. And I really, really dream that we can get together in what resources we have, and maybe in what resources we gain. We can really go to politicians, we can go to advocates, to NGOs, and bring climate education to schools worldwide. There are many of us, and we are very, very strong, because this is our goal at heart, very, very deep there. So thank you all very much for creating Climate Education Coalition. And well, the rest is history. Thank you very much. I would like to invite you to mark your thoughts about climate education. Why would you like climate education? On the wall where Tom is standing right there, you can use markers which we prepared for you, so please take it. So before you leave, Aiden has marker for you. You can mark your ideas on our wall. Everybody who will come here in the next week for our events will surely see that. And I would like to invite all members of our coalition, and also if our guests want to join as well, for the last family photo. And please bring our Zoom guests on the screen. And Zoom guests, please open the cameras so you can be on the photo on the social media. Please do it. So I invite everybody on the stage. Please come.